Arrogant alien warrior challenged Earth's gravity, regrets it instantly. Commander NEX Blackwood stood at attention in Earth's primary orbital defense station, her dark skin gleaming. Under the harsh lights, as she watched the approaching Solarian vessel at 6'2", she cut an imposing figure in her sleek black combat suit, short crop hair adding to her militant appearance. Their ambassador is about to get a reality check, Lieutenant Reed smirked the sighter. Adjusting the station's gravity settings to Earth normal, these Solarians think they're superior because they evolved in. Loy Nix remained professional, though she shared his sentiment. The Solarian collective had finally agreed to diplomatic relations after decades of isolation, but their terms were clear. They refused to acknowledge Earth's primitive military capability. The airlock cycled, and Ambassador Kiralv entered. The Solarian moved with liquid grace, silver-scaled skin catching the light. Her elongated limbs and delicate features spoke of evolution in minimal gravity. Pride radiated from her violet eyes. "Welcome to Earth Space Station," Alpha Nix said formally on Commander Blackwood. "Your security license charming," Kira replied, her translator giving her words in musical LT. "Though I failed to see why I need," she stumbled, suddenly catching herself against the wall as Earth normal gravity took full effect. "What is this standard Earth gravity, Ambassador? I assumed your briefings covered this propaganda." Kira pushed herself upright, trembling with effort. "Your species claims to have evolved under such crushing force. A transparent attempt to seem formidable." Nick bit back. "A retort, would you like gravity compensation?" "Absolutely not. I won't validate your deception." Kira took a shaky step forward. "Now, shall we proceed to the diplomatic quarter, unless you'd like to maintain this chafe further?" "As you wish." Nix gestured down the corridor. "It's a 15-minute walk." What followed was almost painful to watch. Kira's graceful movements became a struggle, each step clearly taxing, but the ambassador's pride prevented her from requesting assist distance. Even as her silver skin began to glisten with effort, the situation deteriorated. When they reached the gravity lift, as it activated, Kira's legs finally gave out. Nix caught her before she hit the floor. The Solarian's slight frame surprisingly warm against her combat suit. "This is impossible," Kira whispered, violet eyes wide. "How do you not?" "Propaganda, Ambassador. This is how we live how we've evolved. Earth's gravity shaped us." Their faces were inches apart. Kira still supported in Nix's strong arms. Something shifted in the ambassador's expression. Respect mingling with fascination. "Perhaps," Kira said carefully, "I should revise certain assumptions about humanity." Wise decision. Nix helped her up, maintaining a professional demeanor despite their proximity. "Would you like that gravity compensation now?" "No." Kira straightened, determination replacing pride. "Teach me." "Teach you? If this is truly your natural state, I must understand it for diplomatic purposes." Of course. Nix couldn't quite hide her smile. "We have excellent training facilities." "Then consider this my first official request. As ambassador, I want to learn Earth's strength." As they continued their journey, Kira leaning slightly on Nix for support. Both women recognized this moment as more than just first contact. It was the beginning of something unprecedented, a bridge between their worlds built on mutual respect and the undeniable truth of Earth's gravity. Neither could have predicted how this simple training arrangement would reshape not only their own futures, but the fate of human-Solarian relations forever. The training facility's reinforced walls gleamed under harsh lights as Nix watched Kira struggle through another set of basic movements. 2 weeks had passed since their first encounter, and the Solarian ambassador had proven surprisingly dedicated to mastering Earth's gravity. Again, Kira demanded, silver scales shimmering with exertion as she pushed herself up from the mat. Her once flowing ceremonial robes had been replaced by a form-fitting training suit that highlighted her alien physiology. "You're still fighting it," Nix observed, moving closer. "Earth's gravity isn't your enemy. It's a force to be channeled, not conquered." "Easy for you to say," Kira muttered, but there was no real venom in her words. Their initial antagonism had evolved into something closer to respect, perhaps even friendship. "You were born to this crushing embrace here." Nix positioned herself behind Kira, her combat suit sensors adapting to the Solarian unique biology. "Feel my movement pattern she guided Kira through the motion, their bodies moving in sync. Let the gravity center you, ground you. The proximity sent an unexpected charge through both women. Kira's violet eyes met Nex's dark ones in the training room's mirrored walls. For a moment neither spoke. A priority alert shattered their focus. Commander Blackwood to command center immediately. The eyes voice echoed, Ambassador V's presence is also required. They found Admiral Chen waiting with a grim expression. The hollow screen behind him displayed a Solarian warship advancing toward Earth. Space, the purest faction. Kira breathed, recognizing the vessel's markings. They oppose any cooperation with heavy worlders. They believe it dilutes our genetic purity. They're demanding your immediate return. Shen reported, they claim we're holding you again against your will, forcing you to endure barbaric conditions. Barbaric, Nix's voice carried an edge. They, the ones who can't handle natural gravity. Next, Kira's use of her first name drew surprised looks. My people's pride has always been our weakness. The purists would rather start a war than admit humans might be stronger. Then we'll show them strength. Nix activated her combat suit's full systems. Admiral, request permission to escort the ambassador to the diplomatic chamber. If the purists want her, they'll have to come through Earth's gravity. And me. The next hours were tense. The purist ship maintained position just outside weapons range, their demands becoming increasingly strident. Kira worked tirelessly, sending message after message to her government, while my coordinated defense preparations. They're moving, Lieutenant Reed announced suddenly. Multiple shuttles launching. They're trying to breach our gravity. Well, the purist shuttles, sleek and predatory, dove toward the station. Their gravity compensation systems flared visibly as they hit Earth normal zones. They didn't do their homework. Nix smiled grimly. Those systems will overload in minutes under sustained exposure, unless that's their plan. Kira said suddenly, look at their approach vector. The shuttles were indeed behave oddly, their erratic movements creating interference patterns in the station's gravity field. Warning alerts blared as the artificial gravity began to fluctuate. They're trying to destabilize the entire system, Reed reported. If they succeed, the station's structural integrity will fail. Nix finished taking us all with it. Ambassador, get to the evacuation pods. No. Sierra stood straighter despite the waiver. In gravity I trained for this. Remember, besides my biology might help understand their technology. Their eyes met again, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Together they raced to the control center, fighting against gravity that now pulsed and shifted unpredictably. The main gravity generator. Kira gasped as they ran. If we could reverse the polarity, we create a feedback loop in their compensation systems. Nick finished, but the controls are manual under these conditions. Then we do it together. Kira grabbed Nex's hand. Your strength, my knowledge of their tech. They reached the generator room as the gravity waves intensified. Equipment floated and crashed around them as they fought their way to the controls. Kira's fingers flew over the interface while Nix braced them, both her combat suits straining against the chaotic forces. Ready, announced, but the reversal sequence requires synchronized input from both panels. The timing has to be perfect, just like training. Nix smiled. Feel the gravity, don't fight it. Their eyes locked one more time, then moving as one they activated the sequence. The generator hummed, building to a crescendo as the gravity fields realigned outside. The purist shuttles began to tumble, their compensation systems overloading. Spectacularly, emergency beacons flared as their crews evacuated, now helpless in Earth's natural gravity. As the station stabilized, Nix and Kira found themselves pressed together by the restored gravity field. Neither seemed inclined to move away. Still think Earth's gravity is propaganda? Nix asked softly. I think, Kira replied, her violet eyes intense, that I'm beginning to appreciate its pull. The aftermath of the purist attack left Earth Station Alpha in a delicate political situation. Nick found herself in the secure communication center, watching Kira address the Solarian High Council. The ambassador's silver scales caught the holographic light as she stood proudly under Earth's full gravity, no longer requiring support. The purists' actions were not only an act of aggression, Kira declared, her voice steady despite the strain, but a revelation of our own limitations. While they attempted to weaponize gravity itself, Commander Blackwood and Earth's forces demonstrated true mastery over it. Nix noticed the subtle tremor in Kira's legs. 3 hours of standing in Earth normal gravity was testing even her improved endurance, yet the ambassador maintained her composure, her violet eyes fierce with conviction. Furthermore, Kira continued, I submit that our perceived superiority over heavy worlders has blinded us to extraordinary opportunities. My personal training experiences have proven the transmission suddenly cut off. Emergency alerts blared as the station systems began failing in cascading sequence. Multiple breaches detected. Lieutenant Reed's voice crackled over the comm. They hid dormant code in the purest attack. It's targeting our gravity control systems. Nex reached for Kira as the artificial gravity. It fluctuated wildly. The ambassador's training showed instead of panicking, she moved with the gravitational waves, using Nex's combat suit as an anchor. This is too sophisticated for the purists, Sira said, her breath warm against Nex's neck. As they stabilized each other, this level of gravity manipulation, there's only one group capable of this, the Void Dancers. A new voice confirmed. They turned to find Admiral Chintering with armed security. Our intelligence suggests they've infiltrated both our societies. The Void Dancers, a secretive organization obsessed with transcending physical limitations. Through technology, they viewed natural gravity as a chain to be broken, not a force to be respected. They're using our diplomatic channels to mask their attack. Kira realized my credentials. I've given them access to your systems. It's not your fault, said firmly, noting the guilt in Kira's violet eyes, but we need to stop them before the station shuddered as another gravity wave hit. Warning klaxon screamed as structural integrity dropped to critical levels. The main reactor, Chen shouted over the chaos. They're trying to create artificial gravity. Well, if they succeed, they'll tear the station apart. Not if we reach the control core first. Nix, activate her combat suit's emergency protocols. Ambassador, I need your biometric access. You'll never make it through those gravity fluctuations. Chen objected. Even your suit has limits. Then it's fortunate, Kira interjected, moving closer to Nix, that I've been training for exactly these conditions. They ran together through corridors that twisted under impossible gravitational forces. Lesser-trained individuals would have been incapacitated, but Nix and Kira moved in perfect sync, the human's natural strength complementing the Saran's adaptive grace. The Void Dancers believe they can master gravity through technology alone, Kira said, as they fought their way forward. They never understood that true mastery comes from working with it, not against it like someone else. I know, Nix teased, earning a sharp look that softened into something warmer. They reached the reactor control room to find had already occupied a figure in advanced gravity manipulation. Here stood at the main console, their suit letting them ignore the chaotic forces tearing at the station. Ambassador, the figure's synthesized voice carried artificial amusement. Your diplomatic mission provided excellent cover, though your subsequent attachment to these heavy worlders was unexpected. The only thing unexpected, Kira replied, her voice cold, is how wrong we've been about Earth's gravity. It's not a weakness to be overcome, it's a strength to be embraced. Primitive thinking, the Void Dancer dismissed. Once we generate our artificial gravity, well, we'll prove that technology trumps evolution. All worlds will be reshaped to our ideal. About that, Nix said, her combat suit's sensors finally completing their analysis. You might want to check your calculations. The Void Dancer's helmet turned sharply. What my training, Kira explained, allowing herself a small smile. It wasn't just about adapting to Earth's gravity, it was about understanding it, including how it interacts with science. Technology. The realization came too late as the artificial gravity well began to form. Kira and Nix moved in perfect coordination. The ambassador's intimate knowledge of Solarian systems combined with the commander Earthborn strength as they executed their counterattack. The Void Dancer's gravity manipulation suit faltered suddenly, overwhelmed by the varied forces it was trying to control. The figure staggered, then collapsed under weight. They'd never truly understood impossible. The synthesized voice crackled, our calculations were perfect. Your mistake, Nix said, securing their prisoner. As Kira stabilized the reactor, was thinking you could improve on something you never bothered to understand. As emergency teams secured the station, Nix and Kira found themselves alone in the observation dome. Earth hung below them, beautiful and powerful. Your report to the High Council. Nick said quietly, you were going to tell them about your training, about more than that. Kira turned to face her, violet eyes intense. About how Earth's gravity revealed truths we've been too proud to see, about strength found in adaptation rather than resistance. About she stepped closer, unexpected attractions. The artificial gravity hummed steadily around them, no longer a barrier but a bridge between their worlds. As their lips met, neither could deny the natural force drawing them together, stronger than pride, more powerful than prejudice, as undeniable as gravity itself. The Earth Defense Council chamber hummed with tension as Nix and Kira presented their findings. 3 months had passed since the Void Dancer incident, and what they had uncovered was far more disturbing than anyone had anticipated. The attack on our station was just a test, Nix explained, her combat suit's holographic displays showing a pattern of similar incidents across multiple sectors. The Void Dancers aren't just trying to manipulate gravity, they're trying to weaponize it on a stellar scale. Kira stepped forward, her movements now fluid even under Earth's gravity. Months of training had transformed her from a struggling diplomat into something unprecedented, a Solarian who had not just adapted to Earth's pull, but learned to thrive in it. Our joint investigation has revealed their ultimate goal. She continued, bringing up new data. They're constructing a network of gravity manipulation devices around strategic stars. If activated, these devices could trigger artificial supernovas using the gravitational collapse to reshape entire systems. Admiral Chen leaned forward. How close are they to succeeding? Too close, NEX replied grimly. We've identified their primary research facility hidden in the gravity well of a binary system. The complex gravitational forces mask their experiments from conventional detection. Then that's where we strike, Chen decided. Commander Blackwood, can your team handle the gravity distortions? With respect, Admiral Kira interrupted. This mission requires both our species capabilities. The facility's defenses incorporate both Earth-level gravity zones and zero-G sections. No single team could navigate all environments effectively, which is why NX added, sharing a meaningful look with Kira, we've been developing a new combat protocol, one that combines human strength with serene adaptability. The demonstration that followed left the council speechless. Nix and Kira moved through rapidly shifting gravity fields in perfect synchronization, their fighting styles merging into something entirely new. Where human muscles would have been too slow, Solarian grace provided speed. Where alien flexibility would have buckled, Earthborn power held firm. We can train more teams, Kira proposed, but time is critical. The Void Answer's next test is scheduled within days. The Council's approval came swiftly. Within hours, the Joint Strike Force was assembled, a hand-picked group of humans and Solarians who'd shown potential for cross-species cooperation. In the preparation chamber, NX watched as Kira adjusted her newly modified combat suit, a hybrid of human and Solarian technology. The silver-scaled ambassador caught her staring and smiled. Remembering when I could barely stand in this gravity, remembering how you refused to accept help. Hanks corrected, moving closer. Some things haven't changed, others have changed entirely. Kira's violet eyes held meanings deeper than words. I never expected Earth's gravity to pull me in quite this way. Their moment was interrupted by mission alerts. The strike force ship, specially designed for gravity manipulation missions, was ready for launch. The journey to the binary system was tense. Human and Solarian crew members trained together, learning each other's strengths and limitations. Nix and Sira's example proved that true cooperation was possible, though not without effort. They're detecting us, Lieutenant Reed announced as they approached the hidden facility. Multiple gravity spikes forming the ship rocked as artificial gravity wells tried to tear it apart, but the crew was ready. Humans braced against crushing forces, while Solarians navigated the zero-G zones, each compensating for the other's vulnerabilities. Remember, Nix addressed the strike team. The Void Dancers think they can control gravity through technology alone. Our strength comes from understanding it, working with it, becoming part of it, like learning to dance, Kira added with a knowing smile. With a very demanding partner, the assault began. Strike teams moved through the facility, shifting gravity zones, like water flowing around rocks, where void dancers expected their gravity traps to immobilize attackers. They found instead a force that adapted and overcame their central chamber. Kira called out, checking sensor readings. The gravity signatures are off the scale. They fought their way toward the core, facing void dancers whose advanced suits proved useless against warriors who truly understood gravity's power. The dance NX and Kira had perfected became a battle symphony, their movements inspiring the entire strike force. You can't stop evolution of Void Dancer. Leader spat as they breached the central chamber. Gravity is a chain that must be broken. You never understood, Kira replied, moving in perfect sync with Nyx as they approached the massive gravity drive. It's not about breaking chains, it's about learning to fly even when they pull you down. The facility's destruction was spectacular, a cascade of controlled gravitational collapses that consumed the Void Dancer's work while preserving the binary system's natural balance. As they watched from their retreating ship, Nyx felt Kira's hand slip into hers. You know this will change everything, the ambassador said softly. Our peoples will have to acknowledge what we've achieved together. They'll adapt. Nyx smiled. After all, they have a pretty compelling example to follow. As if to emphasize her point, the ship passed through a gravity eddy. Kira didn't stumble. Instead, she moved with it, turning the force into a graceful spin that brought her even closer to NEX. Speaking of adaptation, her violet eyes sparkled. I believe we have some private training to schedule. The future held challenges, political, cultural, physical, but as Earth's gravity had proven, the strongest bonds are forged under pressure, and some forces of attraction simply cannot be denied. The Solarian High Council chamber floated in high orbit, its artificial environment maintained at minimal gravity, a statement of traditional values that now felt like denial. Kira stood before them, her silver scales gleaming under the stellar light. As she made her case, the Void Dancer's defeat proved what humans have been telling us, she declared. True mastery of gravity comes not from technological dominance, but from understanding and adaptation. Their failure, Counselor Vax interrupted, his ancient face twisted with disdain, was allowing primitive, heavy worlders to interfere with natural progress. Ambassador, your involvement with Commander Blackwood has clearly compromised your judgment. Nyx, watching from the diplomatic section, felt her combat suit sensors register a spike in her vital signs, but before she could respond, a massive gravitational distortion rocked the chamber. Warning systems screamed as multiple Void Dancer ships emerged from stealth, their gravity drives, now enhanced with stolen Solarian technology, began tearing at the very fabric of space around the station. Did you think we would accept defeat so easily? The transmission carried familiar artificial tones. Your demonstration of natural gravity mastery only proved the necessity of our cause. Today we reshape reality itself. The chamber's minimal gravity transformed into chaos. Council members flailed helplessly as their environmental systems failed, but Kira stood firm, her months of Earth training evident in every controlled movement. Commander, she called out, a slight smile playing on her silver lips despite the crisis. Care to show them some heavy worlder hospitality. Nyx was already moving, her combat suit interfaced with Syrah's hybrid armor as they fought their way through shifting gravity fields toward the chamber's control center. Around them, the joint human Solarian security teams they trained moved with growing confidence, adapting to the gravitational chaos. Their new drives, Kira analyzed as they worked, they're not just manipulating gravity, they're trying to create a cascading resonance. If they succeed, the entire system's gravitational balance will collapse. Nyx finished, taking both Earth and Solarian space with it, a clean slate. The Void Dancer's transmission cut in, free from the tyranny of natural forces. Evolution through extinction. The chamber's reinforced windows showed the scale of their threat. Gravitational lenses bent starlight into impossible patterns as the Void Dancer fleet expanded. Their attack ships from both Earth and Solarian space were being pulled apart by forces they couldn't comprehend, but in the chaos Nyx saw opportunity. Their drives, she said suddenly, they're still based on the binary system prototype, still trying to overcome gravity, rather than work with it. Kira's violet eyes lit with understanding. And like all bullies, she added, they fall hardest when their own force is turned against them. What followed was a dance of unprecedented complexity. Human and Solarian defenders moved in patterns they developed together, using the very gravity waves meant to destroy them as amplification for their counterattack. Impossible, the Void Dancer leader's synthetic voice cracked as their ships began to falter. Our calculations were perfect. Your mistake, Kira transmitted back, her hand finding necks as they coordinated. The defense was thinking you could calculate. Love. The chamber erupted in coherent gravitational waves, the Void Dancer's drives trying to impose artificial order on space found themselves overwhelmed by forces guided by beings who truly understood their nature. Ships crumbled as their gravity manipulation turned inward, their technology proving itself a poor substitute for genuine adaptation. In the aftermath, as combined Earth-Solarian forces secured the wreckage, the High Council faced an undeniable truth. Their chamber, once a testament to low-gravity purity, had been saved by warriors who embraced adaptation over ideology. Perhaps Counselor Vax admitted grudgingly, watching Nix and Kira coordinate rescue efforts with seamless efficiency. We have been anchored by our own prejudices. The next cycle brought unprecedented changes. Joint training facilities were established in various gravity environments. The first wave of human-Solarian hybrid ships launched their designs, incorporating lessons learned from both species, and at the heart of it all, a commander and an ambassador continued to prove that some attractions transcend physical loss. Did you ever imagine, Kira asked later as they watched Earth rise from their new joint command station, that your gravity would pull me in so completely? I had a feeling, Nix replied, drawing her closer. Some forces are universal around them. Their legacy continued to grow each day, brought new examples of cooperation between their peoples. New discoveries made possible by combining their strengths. The Void Dancers had sought to break gravity's hold on life. Instead, they had helped forge bonds that would reshape both societies. Ready for your next diplomatic challenge? Nix asked, noting an approaching delegation of mixed species. With you as my anchor. Kira's violet eyes sparkled. I'm ready for anything. The artificial gravity hummed around them, now calibrated to a perfect balance between Earth and Solarian norms. Like their relationship, it represented not a compromise, but a new harmony, proof that the greatest strengths come not from resisting natural forces, but from learning to dance with them.